Hi, I'm Florencia, one of the programmers with Cine Las Americas. And today we have the pleasure to talk to Anaïs Taracena, the director of the two shorts you just watched, Toward Life and Two Rivers, which are part of the CineNoche series, Mujeres en la Lucha. Welcome, Anaïs.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Thank you a lot for staying and watch the screenings.
Yeah, so let's start with Toward Life. I wanted to ask you, how did you meet Ana Enamorado?
Yes, well, I met her by Zoom because it was at the end of the pandemic, the 2020, this pandemic year. And at the beginning of the 2020, before the pandemic, I was starting the research about the migrants who disappear in Mexico. But this research, I was making this research in Guatemala. And I contact like an organization of families that exist in Guatemala that are like a little organized, and they are like searching their families and everything. But then came the pandemic and all this situation, and in Guatemala it was very strong. Everything was closed and everything. So I continue my research by Zoom. And doing this research, I talked with different persons that live in Mexico, and one of these persons or two told me, you need to meet Ana Enamorado. She's an Honduran. She lives in Mexico since 2012, and she's like an activist, and you must know her. So I get her WhatsApp. I wrote to her and everything. And at the beginning, I think that, oh, who is her? I don't know her and everything. I said, can we have a Zoom? And we made a Zoom, and it was like incredible. It was like yes, like I don't know how to say, but we had a very good communication. She was with her little cat that we watch in the film. It was very little, and it was like here. And I have a cat that it's like this one, like my cat Ayarsa. He's not here right now, but I can show you, but he's not here. And we make like a click, and we talk a lot and everything. Then we made like 2 or 3 Zoom, always because of the pandemic situation. And then I asked her, look, I want to make a short film about this subject, because in Central America nobody, or more in Guatemala, talks about that. When we talk about people who disappear, we think more about the people who disappear during the war, but we don't talk about migrants and families that disappear while they are like migrating to the United States, and they disappear in Mexico. And at the beginning, she was, I don't know, I don't like, a lot of people want to film me, but I don't know. But then she said, look, we are friends, and I think it's okay. So then we just watch. It was, this film was made with very low budget, with a budget of not a university, but a center of research, of Latin American research. And then we found like a first date when I could like travel to Mexico with another friend that I worked with him, a colleague, Rafael Gonzalez. And then I met her personally. And the first thing that we filmed, and the first thing that we made, it was like this public, this manifestation of this strike of women, the Day of the Mother that we watch, and also the other public activities that we watch in the documentary. But then I made another trip to Mexico a second time, and then we filmed this more confident footage that in her home and everything. And then I had to go for work for another thing, and I went again to meet her. And now we are very, very good friends. We talk a lot by WhatsApp, and we present together the film in Guatemala. We present together the film in Costa Rica. Then she went to present it in Honduras. Yes, that was the way.
Great. And now can you give us an update on how she's doing?
Well, Ana Enamorado she's still in Ciudad de Mexico, and she's still a very, very active. She made a lot of she's always making public activities to talk about persons who disappear in Mexico, but more about migrants who disappear in Mexico, because it is the same thing. In Mexico, we know that a lot of persons have disappeared. The numbers are very high, but we don't talk also about the migrants. So she's always like making public activities to pressure the government, to pressure the institution, like if they have to do something to help to find these persons, or to help also to prevent that. And right, and always like 2 or 3 years per year, she organized like a brigade research for his son in the state of Jalisco. And I know that she made a brigade research like 1 month ago, and she had contact with advocates, with journalists, and she's like very serious, like making that research. Well, it's been like almost 14 years since the disappearance of his son. She had some like a big investigation, but she haven't find him yet, and nothing like if he's alive or not, nothing of that. But also she has all this work with her association that she works with other mothers from Central America, and she made that because the mother from Central America doesn't have the money, doesn't have the information, doesn't have all the infrastructure like to make a research. And now she organized for the second time a brigade, an international brigade with other mothers from Central America. I think that there are 6 or 7 that are coming to Mexico. She helps to find the visa for Mexico, because for Central America, we need a visa to enter to Mexico, and also to find the money. And they are arriving on the 13th, yes, March 13th to Mexico. And they are going like in 3 states of the north of Mexico to start like all the research also. So she is always helping other mothers, other families, and she's always doing things, always. So that's now she is.
Yeah, she's a true activist.
Yes, completely a true activist. And I think that she has really helped in Mexico. Now in Mexico, they are talking more and more about migrants who disappear and all this situation because of her work, because she has made so many public activities in front the institutions, and so many like interviews with journalists, and so many work that's this problematic. It's much more visible in Mexico than like 10 years ago, for example.
So now let's move on to rivers.
Yes.
I'm sure everybody wants to know how Maria in Guatemala is doing and how Betty in Honduras are doing.
Well, Betty and Maria, I have her on WhatsApp also. I just talked to Maria in the morning, very early at 6 a.m. because we had to talk about another thing, and then I asked her and everything. Maria is good. She's also an activist as Anna. Well, as we watch at the end of the film, his brother now went out of jail. Now he's free, but he's still being persecuted and criminalized. He has other cases. So he's still free, but he has other cases and everything. So it's not that easy for him, but he's a public figure and he's always in public activities. Bernardo is like an incredible person. And in her community in Cabo, there is still the problem with this corporation, OSHEC, and Hydroelectric Extractive Corporation, is still in activity. And the problem is that the community is divided, because you have like all the, for example, the political person, the local political person that are like, of course, they want to have this corporation and this hydroelectric like working in the communities, because they have like money, agreements and everything, and they say that this corporation gives work for the person and everything. And you have like other families that are not, because of the situation that we watch in the film. So he tells me that this situation of division continues in the community, that the family are still organized, like to resist, and they are like asking, okay, what we can do with this situation? We want a change. We don't want anymore this corporation here. But it's not that easy, because with the new local governor of Cabon, it's of course like associated a little like with this corporation, so it's not that easy. But Maria is still she's always going to other communities to work with other families, to work a lot with women. She has a new project. She wants like to make workshops with women about water, about self-defense, about territory and everything. And also she has also she went like to other places with Dos Rios, with Betty. They went to Mexico to present. Also, she went to Honduras, and Betty went to Guatemala. She was nominated for a prize, and she won a prize in a international film festival of environment in Canarias, and she won that prize. That was like last year. And she is always very active. Mom of 4, but she's okay. And as for Betty, I also asked before like making this Q&A, and she says that, okay, she is okay, but the criminalization and persecution of activists is still there in Honduras, even though they have like a president that is much more open. She says that's the situation. Yes, it has changed. They are in a better situation now than before, but the problem is that the corporation, they have their structure, and it doesn't depend on the change of government or not. They are still there, and they have like a lot of economical and political power. And she had a little a complicated situation of security. She was like a car was like I don't know how to say. She was a car that yes, she was like being watched by a car, and someone pointed to them with an arm and something like this. Now she's safe and everything. She can take all her precaution, but she knows that they are watching. And also for Maria, always, as they are like public defenders, people know all the movement they do, so there have to be a lot of careful. And that's why also for her it's important like to have their profile, a higher profile, international profile, because that gives her protection. But that's what she's saying, that the same thing, that locally the local governments are not doing anything about the climate change, and nothing to defend the territory. So the territory is as vulnerable as like 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, 5 years ago. So the situation, continues to be very complicated about, all the issues about territory, and climate change is something that in our countries nobody talks. It doesn't matter for them, for the politicians. So it's like this. I don't know if I'm I'm sorry, but yes.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, so, and I noticed that you usually work alone, but for Two Rivers, you have a co-director, Laura Bermudez. Can you tell us how was collaborating with her?
It was incredible. Laura and I, we are friends. We have met each other just one time, I think. We are like Zoom friends and WhatsApp friends, but we have worked in many things together. This one was the first time where like we worked with like as a co-directors both. And it was very good. First, well, we talk a lot, like to think like which history and everything. I already knew Maria, and I say to her, look, I want to propose Maria because I already know her. And it was like Bernardo Caal was in jail and everything, no? And she said, I want to work with the mass, is the movement that Movimiento Ambientalista Santabarbarense, that is the movement that belongs Betty. And she already knew. She didn't like knew her like personally, but she knew about her history and everything. So we talk a lot. And then what we made is that I film in Guatemala. We made the research first. I met Maria and everything, and I went to her home, and we talked about how to make it, and she went with Betty. And Betty and Maria didn't knew each other, but we make like a call and we sent some pictures and everything. And then when we made the filming, like the recording and everything, first I filmed in Guatemala, and what I made is like to show her the sequences I filmed. I show her, look, I film here and I film here and I film here. And then watching that, she decided like to shoot similar sequences, like Betty in the river with his son, Betty like with the other women where she works and everything, like in order like to have some similar situation, but also the situation of her, like Guatemala and Honduras, they are like countries that are together, and we have realities that are very similar. So it wasn't very complicated. And then yes, we made like this edition. We watch it like together, always online and everything. And when it was the end, first we present the film in Guatemala, and Betty traveled to Guatemala, and we make the presentation together, and then Maria traveled to Honduras. And also for the distribution, we are also working together because the film went to international festival, and it's also being presented in universities. And we are always talking with Laura and also with Maria. I talk much more with Maria, of course, and she talks much more with Betty, but we know the four. Yes. So I think it's, I really like this experience. It was a film maybe made completely by women, and all like the edition, the color correction, everything, we were women. And I like because those kind of projects are very collective. So it was like a collective project. Yes.
Oh, excellent. We really like both documentaries, and we are wondering if you're working on something new, and can you tell us about it?
Well, I'm working like my more independent personal, a more independent personal film. I have worked a lot with memory. That's like the issue that most I work, like for example with the Silence of the Mall that you also presented in Cine Las Americas. Now I'm working in a more essayistic project, like more creative project, and I am working with volcanoes, but more it's how we relate volcanoes to the memory, as the idea that volcanoes has always been there. They are going to be when we are not going to be here, and they are like the testimony of the territory, like the presence, like they are alive. So I am working on this idea, and I am working also on the idea and how can volcanoes help us to understand the cyclical violence in Guatemala, but at the same time, the resistance, the political resistance. It's more a relation about political imaginaries and volcanoes in Guatemala. I don't know if I'm getting very clear, but it's like there is going to have my voiceover and found footage, and also person that I am going to film. I'm in an early stage of development and research, but I am very, very happy with this project.
Well, that sounds very creative, and hopefully, when it's done, you let us know, and we'll be happy to show it, to screen it for our Austin audience. And so on behalf of them, I would like to thank you for your time today.
Yes.
We love having you again. So hurry up with that volcano
Yes,
documentary,
but I'm
and
going.
and we'll be in touch. Take
Perfect.
care.
Thank you also for you for the space. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.